Hi guys, so welcome to another pick a card with me. I'm Abby, your psychic strategist, and today what we're going to do is we're going to do a pick a card about what your Akashic Records want to tell you specifically due to the nodes of the moon shifting. So in astrology, if some of you know about it, this is a really important thing. It happens once every 18 months. And it is very related to the eclipses that we have, okay? So what's basically happening is on the 5th of May, the nodes of the moon are going from Cancer and Capricorn into Gemini and Sagittarius. And they'll stay in Gemini and Sagittarius for the next 18 months. So it just shows you how collectively we're all going to be, it's almost like how we're all going to start trending as human beings while we fit into this new energy for the next 18 months. So that's what we're going to do today. Just before, what I'm going to do is just very quickly tell you a couple of really brief things to do with the astrology of this, just super quick. So first of all, what you just want to know is, if you're wanting to see how this is going to affect you, basically, if you have a lot of planets in Sagittarius or a lot of planets in Gemini, this will really impact you. If you have your south or your north nodes in either Gemini and Sagittarius, either which way, this will really impact you. If you have personal planets, so things like Venus, Mars, Mercury, in the signs of Gemini and Sagittarius in your chart, then this will really affect you. But essentially, it's going to impact all of us in specific areas of our life. What you want to do is see your birth chart and just see which houses Gemini and Sagittarius fall into. They might be in more than one house, or they might just be in one house. Whichever houses they occupy is where you're going to see these significant shifts. Now, basically, the south node is going to be in Sagittarius. So that means that this is really things that we're starting to let go of, or we're starting to see in a new light. And we're not so focused on integrating these qualities into our life. We're more kind of releasing things that don't help us get towards the north node, which is in Gemini. Okay, so wherever Gemini is in your chart, this is where you're going to start to want to develop, or there'll be an emphasis in your physical reality over the next 18 months of where you need to start enhancing this area of your chart. Okay, so for example, if you have, just really briefly, it's super easy, if you have Sagittarius in your first house, it probably means you're going to have less emphasis on how you see yourself, how you do things alone. And what you'll find then is your north node, Gemini, will then be in your 7th house, which then means you're going to have more emphasis on working in partnerships, doing things as a team, doing things as a relationship. And so this is how the north node and the south node are going to start to interplay with you. So this happens for all of us. So definitely check out and look for those bits. Just look for the house that Sagittarius is in and any planets in Sagittarius, and look for the house that Gemini is in and any planets that are in Gemini. Over the next 18 months, these things are going to be play more of an important role in your life and in your physical reality. Then I'm just going to put up this little slide here. This is just, you might want to just pause it if you're interested. This just tells you the eclipses, when they're going to happen over this year and next year, to do with Sagittarius and Gemini, because wherever the north node and the south node are, this is where we have the eclipses. There'll still be a couple of eclipses coming in from the Cancer Capricorn that we had, which is where the last south node and north node were. So hope that wasn't too complicated. That's all I want to tell you about that. And then obviously you can start exploring it any other way. Oh, just one other thing, just to know that the exact dates will be Gemini and Sagittarius will be in with the north, will be in the signs that will be with the north node and the south node from the 5th of May 2020 to the 18th of January 2022. So that's how long this kind of area works for. I will do a post on Instagram. I've got this post on Instagram which is just going to break down just a little bit more about what it means about the Gemini North Node and the Sagittarius South Node, and how that's going to impact all of us collectively, because it's very relevant, I feel, with what's going off currently to do with the virus and all of these kind of things, or at least you'll be able to see where the trending is going with things. But cool, now that is enough of that. Now let's go on to pick a card. So remember, this is specifically what your Akashic Records want you to know over the next 18 months to do with this change in energy into Gemini and Sagittarius, okay, with the nodes of the moon. So how I wanted to do this is a little bit different to how I've done them before. basically I have 3 stones for you to choose here. Okay, and then just gonna, so you just decide if you feel like 1, 2, 3 or 4. So this is pile 1, this is pile 2, oh sorry, and this is pile 3, we're not doing 4. So this is the one for pile 1, if you feel this. This is the one for pile 2, if you feel this one. And this is the one for pile 3, if you feel this one. So just go with your first intuitive feeling with these. These are actually stones and crystals from my meze thing, which I had when I trained to be a shaman. So what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly channel the energy through each of the stones before we turn over any of the cards, and that's how we'll do your reading. Cool, so let's do it. Let's go on to pile number 1. Okay, so this is for everybody that chose pile number 1. So first of all, let us channel into your crystal energy. If you don't know, we all have chakras in the palms of our hands. They're your 11th chakras. They help you to connect to energy outside of you and either take energy in or release energy, just so you know. And they're really great. Always activate these chakras in the palms of your hands when you're working with crystals or stones. It will just help you be able to communicate easier with them. But obviously you can still do it many other ways, okay? Who am I to tell you? I'm just telling you this is one example. You totally go with what you ever feel and trust it. So, pile number 1. What does your Akashic Records want to tell you to do with the nodes of the moon changing? Okay, so over the next 18 months, there's going to be I'm getting that there's going to be a repeat of some patterns and cycles that happened in 2008 and 2018. But I'm getting that this time round, this third time round of whatever this repeat cycle is or theme is within your life, you're now going to be in a situation where you're kind of like right in the center. So it's kind of like you're the eye of the storm and you're able to see everything from a super like stable, empowered position because you've been here, seen it before. It's kind of like you're going through a complete kind of like this 3 stages of life. So I see the first cycle was like, it was the first experience of that cycle. So it was almost like bringing this cycle into your life. Then the second time it happened in 2018, it was kind of like the death of that cycle in whatever way it was, like it was crumbling. It was something like that was going off. And now the third time this is now coming into your life over the next 18 months, it's the true transformation of it and it's the real rebirth of it. I'm getting as well that for a lot of you, it's kind of like, okay, I'm really getting that your Akashic Records want you to know that it's really, really important that you find some really good strategies or habits or routines that you do to help minimize your own anxiety. And specifically, I'm getting the words mental anxiety for you guys here. Because I'm getting that a lot of you that chose this path have like got a really, really active mind. So you've kind of almost got like a really strong Mercury in your chart or like a Virgo or something like that. Or even kind of Gemini. It's like it is actually very analytical and you're really able to see lots of things. But sometimes it can go over to overdrive. And I feel like some of you guys will probably have problems with your sleep and stuff like that. Where either you can't get to sleep or it keeps you awake or things like that. Because you've almost got this overactive mind. And actually, because things are going to get more stimulated with the North Node going into Gemini, which is a very mentally kind of active kind of thinking sign, it's really important that you come up with at least 5 strategies of things that you can do to help calm down your mind. Because this is going to for you to like creatively problem solve. It's going to help you creatively problem solve to do with situations that come up. But the most important thing isn't actually the creative problem solving. It's the fact that you fact that somehow, by you thinking of different ways to go about situations, it opens up your energy field and it starts to attract new opportunities to you. And then because you've already got this open mind, because you're being curious with the way that you're thinking about certain problems and situations, it allows you to see things that usually you wouldn't have been able to see. So like opportunities that are coming in, you're able to see them with more clarity this time around, because you're kind of thinking out of the box way more than you usually would do. But just bearing in mind as well to make sure that you can keep almost like this higher state of mental, I don't know, of like cognitive awareness. Just make sure that you don't get overstimulated mentally. Your Akashic guides are also saying that you guys are more likely to be people that will be more sensitive to EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. So you just want to, you can do simple stuff like turn your Wi-Fi off at night. I mean, I've got a whole load of things to do with EMF, so if you're interested in that, just email me or I'll do another video on that. But yeah, it's things like that you just want to think about. So having like a really good sleep hygiene is going to be important. Being able to switch your mind off is going to be really, really important, so that essentially you really can. It's almost like I can see you like a spider's web. And at each kind of like intersection of the spider's web, there's kind of like a new person or a new opportunity or a new situation. And then they're kind of like all interlinking within to each other. And then there's another layer within the spider web around you, which is like another new person, another new situation, another new opportunity. And that then is also interrelating with the opportunities and people and experiences from before. So it's kind of like super interconnected. It's super networky as well. So it also makes me think that probably you're a pile that is actually going to be in some ways more influenced by the Gemini North Node than you are the Sagittarius South Node. So definitely, if you can look in your chart, see where Gemini is, which houses it's in, and then you really want to try and make best use of the situations that occur in that house. And I'll leave a link, I'll just leave a bit in the description below so you know which house is relatively to do with. And then there will be an emphasis of that within your life. And that's where a lot of opportunities will be coming through from. But one other thing is coming up. Don't get distracted. Do not get distracted. Because I'm almost like seeing like a desert and then like a mirage. And it's not that there's things of an illusions going off with you. It's more that like, don't get distracted by something that's trying to make out that it's something that it's not. So I suppose you need to really use discernment as well over the next 18 months. And I suppose if you're going to have all these different situations and people come in and opportunities, then it probably does actually make sense that you need to be able to discern which are the best connections, which are the best opportunities. And your Akashic Records is also saying this thing about just, you'll know instantly, if you want to know psychically which ones are going to be the best opportunities, if they feel in any way draining, like the person or the opportunity or anything like that, if they feel in any way draining, or that you feel a little bit tired after you've communicated with them, or you feel a little bit tired after you've like started to work towards that opportunity, whatever it is, just double check to make sure that this isn't a bit of a decoy. Because what your Akashic Records is saying is that ultimately the great opportunities and the great connections and people you will meet, they're going to feel very inspiring and very uplifting. So that's just one way you can check in with your body to know. But cool. Now let's see what else we get. What's this card? Oh wow, nice. Into the unknown. So, you know, this just reminds me of that spider's web thing that I was talking about. The fact that there's all of these new opportunities and new people that are going to be kind of coming into your environment. But as well, just make sure. The other thing as well, you know, when I said before about this thing about how you can tell if it's a good opportunity or a person that's going to be helpful to you or not, don't only just check in about the draining thing, just check in about where they are relative to those cycles that we talked about before. So do they bear any relevance to whatever went on for you in 2008 and 2018? Okay, because something about that is something you need to consider when you work out which opportunities are positive for you and which people are inspiring for you and which are not. That's really, really important. Because there's something about these things that's going to be coming in that's going to be very fresh and almost different. What your Akashic Records are also saying, though, for some of you, you might get repeat people coming back into your life in some kind of way, or, you know, situations appear to be the same coming back into your life, but you'll realise that they're different because that person has changed, or that situation is ultimately, although it might superficially seem the same, it's actually very different on a deeper core level. So once again, this is where you need to use discernment, because it's kind of like, I see that the universe is kind of going to be playing like, I don't know why I got the words trick or treat, but it's kind of like, do you want this or something, or do you want to go for like the decoy? Like, you know, it's got that kind of trick or treat, and you just have to be mindful about which one you're going to go for. And bearing in mind, it doesn't matter which one you choose, it will just be another experience. And ultimately, Gemini energy is all about experience, and so is Sagittarius, to be fair. So you really can't really go wrong. But I see a lot of things changing for you guys that chose pile number 1, like a lot of things changing over the next 18 months. So that, I think, again goes back to that thing about being really aware. If you are, I don't know, like mentally, being mentally stable, being mentally grounded, and just, like I say, be mindful of the EMF and get really good sleep hygiene. That's going to be really important. But now let's see what other things we get here. So what else do your Akashic Records want to tell you? Right, let's go with these to start with. I feel as well that there's going to be quite a few situations that occur that's going to make you feel like you're in the dark. And what I mean by that is, it's not like you're being left out in the cold. It's not to do with that. But it's just kind of like, because it's a new situation, experience, or the person is now behaving differently with you, or whatever it might be, it's going to feel like you just don't know what to do, because I think it's almost going to surprise you a little bit. And that element of surprise, I think for some of you, you might find that it might make you feel a bit anxious. For others of you, I think you'll find it quite exciting and stimulating. But also your Akashic Records want you to know that also you're going to be very protected during this time period, because it's kind of like, not that certain things are fated during this time period, although some of these eclipses, particularly the Gemini eclipses, so have a look at which one I said the times were on those, on that little thing that I did in the beginning. There's going to be something there where you're going to have a twist of fate. At the Gemini eclipses, the ones that involve Gemini, there's going to be a twist of fate somewhere, but it's going to really work out in your favour. So now let's just see what we get here. So here we have 11, Justice. I friggin' love these cards. I think they're so beautiful. I also think they're very kind of Gemini Sagittarius, and I don't really know why. So we have Page of Emotions, the octopus here. Lots of abundance there. Then we have the Moon. Then we have 5th house, Passion, and 2nd house, Assets. Nice. Okay, so your Akashic Records also want you to know that sorry, there's quite a few things coming in. Just give me 1 second. Number one, it's really important that you've got to have a little bit of alone time, because I do think there'll be so much activity around you, or so many different things happening, that, you know what, you've got to make sure that you have got a little bit of alone time, because I'm seeing 7 here, and these two numbers here add up to 7, because there's something about that you're going to need a little bit of quiet time to be able to integrate everything that's going off. And this is really, really important, because there's a lot that's going to be shifting for you, almost on a much deeper psychological level. And during the next 18 months, your dream times are going to be really activated in some way. Even if you guys are maybe not aware that you're dreaming, or you can't remember your dreams, that does not mean that they're not still heavily impacting your subconscious, unconscious mind, and also your energetic frequency, because it absolutely is. If some of you can't remember your dreams, one really good thing to note is how you feel when you first wake up in the morning, because sometimes that can give you a kind of more tangible awareness about what was going off in your dream state. Like, do you feel tired? Maybe lots was integrating. Do you feel heavy? Maybe something was coming up on a deeper psychological level you're working through in dream time. Do you feel excited? Do you feel inspired when you first wake up? All of these things will give you a cue or some kind of key about what's been going off during your dream time. But also, you know, like I said to you in the beginning with this, there is absolutely something about getting really good sleep, getting a really good sleep hygiene that's going to be so important over the next 18 months. And I really feel like your Akashic guides are like, please just emphasize this to them again, because it really is important, because so many different things are going to be going off. And they're also saying, if for whatever reason you really can't sort out your sleep or whatever, just try and have a bit of meditation time. Even if you just listen to something like a guided meditation on YouTube, or if you maybe just do a tiny little bit of yoga, just like 10 minutes before you go to bed, anything like that. You just need a bit of still time. It's really important to help with everything else that's going to be going off. Because what I really do see here is I kind of see a creative project. All of these cards here, to be honest, they're just telling me that there's a creative project that you have been working on, definitely during 2008 onwards, that is going to come to some kind of fruition by the end of this 18 months, okay? It's kind of like... It's kind of like... It's weird. I can just see this thing of like you... Just give me 1 second, because I'm seeing this for quite a few of you and it's slightly different. But just let me get the similar theme. Okay, it's kind of like, in some way... And I think it's going to happen very early on during this the first 18 months. So whenever you're watching this video, it's happened earlier on. So probably I'm thinking round about June 2020. So really early into these nodes of the moon changing. You're going to have some kind of like, you've been really working on yourself anyway, to do with like gaining confidence, gaining self-esteem, gaining self-belief, believing that you're worthy, all of these kind of things. And I think suddenly there's going to be some really big breakthrough. And I think it's definitely going to have happened by the end of June, because there's 2 eclipses that go off in June, which are really important. And actually, interestingly, one of them is Cancer from the cycle from before. But I do feel like by the end of June 2020, you've suddenly got this huge amount of confidence and a burst of like enthusiasm to go forward. And it's really important that you take that and you work with it. Your Akashic guides are then saying that there's going to be something like 4 or 5 individual times over the next 18 months when you're going to get a repeat of that sensation. So you'll get a reboot again of like a sudden uplifting of something, or something suddenly starts to go well, or you suddenly start to feel really good. It won't hold, like it won't be there really high all of the time, but it will just keep resurfacing over and over again. So it's kind of like the universe and your soul are going to constantly, and I can just see this vision constantly coming in. It's like you're doing a marathon, right? And they're constantly coming in every now and then to give you this like amazing sugar hit of something, so that you can push forward even further. And so that's just something to be mindful of. And again, your Akashic guides are just like, this is why the sleep is so important, because there is going to be some real moments of like a massive rush of energy coming to you, and you don't want to be already too overloaded that it almost like blows your circuit and it overwhelms you, so that you can't use it in a creative, productive way. And most importantly, your Akashic records are saying, so that you don't miss an opportunity. That's just really important. And so I completely see that that's also going to happen. I do think as well, it's really important that your finances, that you see your finances in quite a different way over the next 18 months. I do get a very specific message for some of you here. If some of you are business owners or something like that, it's really important to kind of start expanding your company's networking ability online. That's really important. And that essentially you've kind of got to start looking at expanding your audience in some way, or like your customers in some way. So yeah, you might have a very specific client avatar, and that's great. But But I'm also getting the fact that I'm getting this thing about you need to have your dream client avatar and then your realistic client avatar. And I'm really, really seeing that to do with a business perspective, it's absolutely about networking. And also, this will be really important to do with the Gemini North Node part, which I do massively think influences everybody that's chosen this stone as the pile. You're going to start looking, or you will end up, you'll do best if you sometimes take mentorship from somebody who actually isn't as successful as you at what you are doing. Now, I know that sounds friggin' crazy, but your Akashic Records are saying there's some real gold dust nuggets to be gained from some people that seemingly have less experience and knowledge than you. Because my guides are now specifically saying it's because they actually have a different kind of aspect of looking at whatever it is that you're doing, and that will be really, really useful and vital for you. My guides also say this also applies not just, you might not have a business, but you might be self-employed, or you might be trying to do your own creative project or something like that. And everything that I've just said there completely applies too. And actually, even if, let's say, you know, you are, for example, you're an awesome mum and you stay at home with your kids and you love looking after them, and that is basically like your life purpose right now. There's something about like going online and getting some information about how maybe somebody younger than you is coping with being a mum and what they're doing. I don't know, it's got that sort of vibe about it, because you've got to remember as well that essentially Gemini is super, super playful and it's super, super useful. It's also highly curious, and it kind of sees everyone and everything as an opportunity to learn and grow and take on another perspective. And that is how group one, you are going to thrive over the next 18 months. It's kind of realizing that anybody could give you just the right information at just the right moment. It could even be the person at a bus stop. And in fact, this just reminds me of a video on my other channel, See It Like a Psychic, which is basically about the highest potential of the Gemini archetype, and it talks about that. So just have a little look at that too, because that is really, really important. I do feel as well that all I can keep thinking is like octopus. Every time I see this, and from the first moment I saw it, all I could think about was octopus. And I just really feel like there's this real opportunity for you guys to somehow get a real lucky break with something too. Now, I'm going to say it's financial, right? But it doesn't actually have to be. It just is something that you have, that you see as like a high value, okay? So that could even be a relationship, and it's kind of like you basically, I don't know, somebody comes into your reality and they're really, really into you, and you just can't believe your luck because you seem to think they are out of your league or something like that. It can be anything like that. I just feel like this is going to be like, I don't know, almost like, I just feel like something really lucky is going to happen for you guys over the next 18 months. But again, you've just got to be in the right mindset to be able to see it as a real gift and a real opportunity. Because the one thing that you just want to be mindful of is that sometimes the universe can give us amazing gifts and opportunities, either through a person or a situation or whatever it might be, but we're not quite in the right mindset of believing that we're worthy of having it. And therefore, for some reason, we will self-sabotage it. So you just want to be mindful that you don't self-sabotage, because sometimes this energy, the moon energy, can be a bit of a self-sabotager. I don't actually really see that as heavily influenced here at all, but I just want to tell you that that's a potential booby trap for something for you to look about over the next 18 months. It's really, really important. And your Akashic Records are also saying that, you know, if you ever feel you might be in that situation where essentially you might be self-sabotaging something which could actually be phenomenal for you, whether it's a person, an opportunity, a situation, whatever it might be, chat to a couple of different friends with different perspectives from you and from each other, okay? To see what your collective kind of like friendship group feels and thinks about this. Are you self-sabotaging? Are you not? Like, definitely, but also definitely ask more than one person, right? You want a range of different people over your friends that all maybe think about things slightly differently, so that then you can make the best like most well-rounded decision, because I just can't help feel as well with this just feels like so nice and circular as well, but there's so many different lines everywhere, and it just feels like these are all different opportunities and people that you need to interact with so that then you can make the most best decision. And I kind of then see you kind of like creating pearls out of many different situations. I don't know why I'm getting this, but I'm kind of getting like Indiana Jones scenarios where I think over the next 18 months, sometimes something might happen and you'll be like, oh, fuck, shit, now what do I do? But then somehow there's a twist of fate. Somebody just happens to tell you something and that's exactly what you needed to know to then make the right decision. Or just as you think all your chips have gone down, then suddenly something comes up and it's super lucky. I think you need to be mindful that there's got that kind of like, I don't know, kind of like excitement and that kind of buzz, but it isn't stable, okay? But it is a dance. I think if any of you guys that chose this pile really value stability for your own mental health for the next 18 months, I think you need to start seeing uncertainty as something that's enjoyable, that's a dance, that holds many different opportunities. Kind of need to word it in a different type of way. For those of you that basically probably really enjoy uncertainty and things like that, like we have with like Into the Unknown, I think you just need to make sure that you stay grounded and that you don't get pulled along by something too quickly because you're too eager to kind of go with that all change situation, change. So depending on what kind of your personality type is like, you need to have a think about that. So that is what I'm getting for all of that. Now, let's just see. I just want to... Because what I've decided to do is I'm going to do a few extended readings, I think, on this one, particularly like astrology ones. So let's just see some cards that come out, and then I will be going through some of these into the extended. The other things that I want to know is... I want to know... what is the number one opportunity and what is the number one booby trap that you need to be mindful with going forward? I want to also look at which are, I'll have a look with these ones here. Which mentors are the ones that you are going to be coming into your life so that you know how to spot them. And then I also want to see, I don't know, let's just see what we get for these first. So we get 3 of coins. We get, oh wow, Ace of Coins, we get the Star, and we get 9 of Voices. Cool, so I'm going to be going through with these in the extended video if you want to come through with me to Vimeo. Like I say, we'll also look at the number one opportunity coming through, the number one booby trap to be mindful of, and which is the mentor to really look out for over the next 18 months, because Gemini as well is very much about mentorship. So we'll go through with that. Good news for you guys that chose this. I don't think you have to worry too much about what's going off with your Sagittarius energy, so where the South Node is in your chart. I kind of feel like you'll either find it very easy to let go those kind of areas of your life, or you've already spent the last 18 months kind of working through that kind of area. And so you're quite confident within that realm and you don't have to worry too much about what's going on. I really feel for you guys, it's the Gemini North Node that is going to be the real focus for you over the next 18 months. But cool, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, it'd be great to see you over at Vimeo if you feel this was useful for you. You can also check me out on Instagram. I'm on Abigail Grace 2311. Also check out the post that I've done for a bit more information about the Gemini and the Sagittarius node shifts. And you can also, I'll do the same post on Facebook, so it'll be there. And also check out that video on See It Like a Psychic, my other YouTube channel for the Gemini energy, because I do really think that's going to be important. And if you'd like a reading with me, then just email me, and I'll put my email below because I'm still working on my website. One other thing that I just want to, something was just coming in and now I've just forgotten. Just give me 1 minute. It's coming in about Sagittarius for you. Just give me 1 second. It's on the edge of my consciousness. Damn, what was it? Something about letting go. Oh, no, it wasn't. That was it. One thing I also want to tell you, which I think is really positive, is I feel like you've already created some really strong belief systems, and those belief systems are really going to be helpful for you moving forward. And I actually don't think you have to worry too much about any limiting beliefs over the next 18 months. I think the main thing you guys need to be thinking about is if you have any anxiety to do with anything or not. And to be honest, I can see that there's a little bit of that to do with this card here. But obviously we'll go through that on the extended. But if not, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again on Pick a Card. Enjoy the next 18 months. I personally am really looking forward to it. It's so much lighter and playful and exciting than the Cancer, Capricorn energy we've had for the last 18 months. So that can only be a good thing. See you guys soon. Bye. Hi guys. So this is for everybody that's chose message 2. So this crystal with holding the message of what your Akashic Records want to tell you about the change in nodes, the North Node going into Gemini, the South Node going into Sagittarius for the next 18 months. So coming out of that towards the middle-ish of January 2022. So it's quite a long cycle. So let me just feel into this and see what's going on. As I said in the other piles, you've actually got chakras. Your 11th chakra is in the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. It's great at absorbing energy, releasing energy. It can be really great to activate those chakras just by your intention alone. It's like no big deal, just have your intention. Because remember, these chakras are yours. So yeah, you can just put them there and you can just get a bit more info. Anyway, let me just see what comes up for you guys. What do your Akashic Records want to tell you about this change in nodes? Okay, so the first thing that I'm getting, that this is all about you guys creating strong foundations. And I'm also hearing new foundations for some of you. So over this time period, this 18 months of Gemini and Sagittarius in the nodal axis, this is going to be creating some completely new, I'm also hearing systems and structures. So I do actually feel for people in this pile, I don't know what it is that you do as a living, or what your spouse does for a living, or whatever it might be, but I do feel this is going to be going under a restructuring process. And it's doing it so that actually you can be more abundant by the time this cycle finishes, but it's going to involve adjusting and adapting. And I'm seeing like kids doing leapfrog. So you know that game where you kind of like jump over each other's, I don't know, backs, as it were. And I'm also seeing a frog jump from lily pad to lily pad to lily pad. So I feel like there's also going to be a lot of energy and movement going on for you guys that's picked this pile. I feel as well that what's going to happen is this movement's going to happen in two ways, depending on which group you sit in. For the group that doesn't usually have a lot of movement, maybe you don't really travel much, or your life tends to stay pretty consistent, I feel like that's going to become the opposite. So you're going to have more changes, more new opportunities coming in. And regardless of the fact that Sagittarius is in the South Node, which for a collective, it does mean that generally long distance travel will not be so much of a priority. For some of you, it will actually be. So I don't know what's actually going off in your birth chart with your transits, or even in your progress chart or your solar return chart, but travel and moving long distance is still going to be relevant for some of you guys if you sit in that pile. If though you sit in the opposite pile, where you generally do a lot of traveling and you generally have a lot of changes coming into your life, then I'm seeing that the opposite is going to happen. That actually it's about you really working at building off the opportunities that have already presented themselves to you and staying that path with consistency. I'm getting the word consistency is really important and key, and that actually it's more about you focusing on your immediate environment more than sort of like traveling or holidays or stuff like that, because I'm hearing these words, you have a job to do as a soul and you're getting on and doing it now, and that just makes other things more of a priority for you than what usually has been. So this part is really interesting because I can really see how there's like two, like within this group there's also two groups within the group, as it were. which actually reminds me of Gemini then. So you've kind of got the man and the woman, or the girl and the boy. So I'm actually feeling that the Sagittarius South Node and the Gemini North Node are equally important for this group. I remember group 1, it was very much Gemini was really pulling out. I was like, this is so much of the focus. However, for you guys, it's very much both. So I'm hearing as well the words multitasking is really important. And it's putting structure into multitasking. I feel like as well, it's so much about building on whatever you have been doing since 2018. So whatever those creative projects are, those goals were, those relationships were, whatever they are, it's very much about now building further. It's like building even more of a connection, building even more of a union with those aspects. Because I'm really getting that your Akashic Records are saying like you've been given all of the foundations that you need to go forward. And it's really about building on top of those now. I'm really, really getting that. I also do really feel that it's really important that you're expressing to yourself what you really want, and that you are then sharing that with others around you in your immediate environment. So it's like realizing that you're going to be around people that want to listen to what you have to say. And in turn, you're going to want to listen to what they have to say as well. So I'm kind of feeling like this kind of like... It's like I'm seeing these two people in a pub. In like olden days, let's say. You know, when like pubs is like a major thing, because maybe there aren't all the other stuff that we have. Not that like pubs are a major thing at the moment of me recording this video, because they're so not with the virus. But I'm like basically seeing like almost into a past life energy of like two people that are in a tavern, and like it's been like loads of rain, it's really windy, and then they've come into this super warm like cavern, like pub essentially, tavern or whatever. They've gone and got their favourite ales, and then they're sitting across from each other, and I'm kind of like seeing that they both have swords, so they have this kind of warrior energy. And then they're just like, one of them starts to tell their tales about stuff, and then they both start laughing, then they have more drink, then the other person starts to explain their adventures and tell their stories, and then they start laughing as well. And then because they're having such a great time, the bartender comes over and kind of wants to get involved a bit, and then somebody else in the far corner of the pub also kind of gets pricked up by these two people laughing a lot and sort of wants to get involved. And then I'm seeing that by the end of the night, the whole pub is kind of all connecting or laughing. And it all started from these two people, these two friends coming in and sharing their stories with each other and having a great time, having a great energy that pulled all these other people in. And that is very much like metaphorically what I see going off for you guys over this time period. But it first of all starts with being open to share your story and listen to somebody else's story with no judgment, just pure and utter curiosity. That's completely what I'm seeing there. Anyway, cool, let's just go on. Otherwise we can get stuck channeling for ages. So let's see. So we get dry desert, 31-4. You know what, I'm really drawn to this thing that I think that you're really trying to create something, and that you've seen, I don't know why I'm seeing this with the cactus, you've had this vision for a long time, and actually now it's really starting to break through the Earth's crust. Also, there's this really interesting thing about the desert as well. Like desert people I think are so cool. There's something about The Alchemist, the book, that's making me think of this here, and really listening to omens. And as well, like when I see this bird up here and this woman's looking at it, but I know there's a lot of trust that's going to have to go off for you guys over this next 18 months. You've got to, if it is in alignment with a long held vision that you've got, you need to trust and keep going with it. But you've got to be flexible and adaptable to maybe potentially going off piste that's away from your goal to then actually get faster towards your goal, because essentially there's mirages going off and not everything is what you think it is. And this is very much this playful energy that can happen with the Gemini archetype. And then equally the Sagittarius is happy to play along with an adventure and see what happens. So there's very much that kind of vibe that's also going off for you guys. Let's just see what else we get. I'm also seeing like the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, like popping out and jumping around. And I feel like some of you guys, I think you've potentially missed an opportunity, but your Akashic Records want to tell you that you're exactly bang on time, but you need to keep following your gut, following your intuition, but also using rational logic along this path as well. So make sure that it's not all coming from your intuition and your psychic skills. You need to also be applying this with your rational mind. That's really, really important too. I just think as well you need to be mindful that some opportunities that are coming towards you over this like time period may not immediately appear like an opportunity. I suppose what I'm trying to say to you is be careful that you don't miss opportunities, because I'm feeling that you have to... I feel that what's going to happen is your intuition is going to tell you that something's a good option, but your rational mind is probably going to be like, I can't see that. And then instead of having a conflict between shall I follow my intuition or shall I follow my mind, you then need to have like a conversation between your intuition and your logical mind, each both listening to each other, a bit like in the pub, each listening to what each has to say. So what your intuition has to say, what your logical mind has to say, and then you need to, actually a little bit like the pub, but in a kind of abstract way, you then need to ask other people their opinions and their perspectives on what your intuition is saying and what your logical mind is saying. And as if you use all of those resources, so those two things within inside of you, and then share it with something outside of you for an outside perspective, your Akashic guides are saying that you'll always know which options to go with and which options not to. But I just really feel like, I don't know why, but this dry desert really makes me feel like there's something that's hidden and concealed. Only it's not really hidden and concealed. It's just that you can't quite see it yet, because it's almost like you don't quite have the belief system downloaded in your consciousness, which means that you can see this opportunity. And actually what's going to happen is your belief systems are going to start to be shifting over this time period, which means that you're going to start to see things in a very different light, and that ultimately brings a lot more opportunities to you. Don't know why this is flashing up underneath me. I don't usually do that, but we'll do it today. So that's Scorpio, the animal. Let's see what all these are. Okay, so we have 9 of Voices. Pile 1 also had that. 3 of Pentacles. Pile 1 also had that. Lovers was also in the extended reading for pile 1. No way. Let's see what's going on here. Pisces, the mystic. Libra, the idealist. And Opposition, balance. Interesting. Right, just let me feel into these a little moment. Okay, I think what I'm really getting from your Akashic Records is that actually it's interesting what I was picking up before. I do actually think this pile quite often comes into conflict between sometimes following their intuition or following their logical mind. And actually this time period, like I say, is going to end up being a collaboration between both. And by collaborating both your intuition with your logical mind, this will ultimately massively transform like the Scorpio here, it's a transformation card. This is really going to transform your reality, because suddenly, instead of just relying on 50% of your ability or your consciousness, let's say the feminine intuitive side, you're now going to be involving 100% of your consciousness. So the psychic part and the logical part. Or if you're mainly somebody that's more logical and masculine energy and linear thinking in that kind of way, you're not just going to be relying on that 50%. You're now going to be bringing that in with your intuition. And that is going to be like a blending of them both together. It's so funny that literally the Lovers card is smack in between these two. And what's so funny too is I always think this feels to me like more feminine and this slightly more masculine. Regardless of how it goes in astrology, it's how it feels to me. And this is the female here on this side, and this is the male here on that side. Because really I see Libra can be quite masculine in how it thinks, because it can think in linear patterns and it weighs things up in quite that kind of masculine energy way. Whereas the Pisces side is definitely more feminine. It's more abstract with how it thinks, it's more imaginative, it's more intuitive, things like that. So I literally see that you guys are going to be understanding how to collaborate with both those two parts of you. And it just feels even more relevant now, that kind of metaphor that I was picking up from your Akashic Records about the two people in a tavern and them sharing stories and laughing, and then other people joining in, and then by the end of it the whole pub is collaborating essentially. That is, if you just remember one thing from this reading, that is the thing to remember. And this is going to apply in so many different scenarios and situations for you over this time period with the Gemini and the Sagittarius nodes, how they are. But it is going to mean that you just need to change your belief system. And let me just see if I can pick up this belief system. Right, so I'm just going to ask your Akashic Records if it can just kind of give me like the most obvious over the top belief system, so that then you guys can all fine tune that and make it relevant to your personal situation. So just one section, just 1 minute. What is that belief system? It's something like, I no longer judge things in parts, I now view things holistically. And then apply reason. It's something like that. And also, wait, let me just get something a bit more too, so you guys can play with it. It's, let me just throw out some of these words, it's what's coming. It's about no longer having judgment in the same kind of way. No longer always thinking that you are right about something. You're now open to the fact that anything could be right and anything could be wrong, and you don't find that unsettling. You actually find that exciting and intriguing, and it's something that makes you curious. It's almost like sparring. You know, when two people have banter about things, you're going to kind of develop that to do with some things that previously you've had quite rigid ideas about what is right and what is wrong. And I can feel that some of you will be thinking, oh, like I'm not really that, I am sort of somebody that's quite flexible like that anyway, and I'm not really overly judgmental. All I know is your Akashic Records are saying, yeah, but there's a whole nother level that you can go to with that, and you're going to go to it with that, like a whole nother level of like that flexibility of thinking. So if you're quite rigid, it's going to become more flexible. If you're already flexible, it's going to become even more flexible. And either way, it's ultimately going to really transform the people you meet, the conversations that you have, the choices that you make, and therefore the actions and the pathways that you follow. And that is something that's really coming down here. I'd said as well with this other one, I always think of it when I see this, when somebody said to me this thing about my mind is many minds, and that is absolutely what I see going on here. And I see that as quite a Gemini energy as well. So definitely listen to many different types of people's beliefs, perspectives, stories, and then in some way you're going to collaborate with that. Even if it's in your own consciousness, you're going to blend all of these different thoughts and ideas together to make something even more unique, in alignment with the core of who you are. And then it's about sharing and expressing that, and then it will just keep turning and turning like a spiral. But like finding other resources on the internet, books, making friends with new people, just anything is really, really useful. And I will also leave a link for this video to do the Gemini Highest Potential on my other channel, See It Like a Psychic, because it kind of describes the highest potential of this archetype and how you can use it to your best advantage. Because one thing as well that I do see here And it was funny, Power One also had this, but I think they had it in a more intense type of way. Sometimes I see this as a bit to do with anxiety, and it was actually to do with sleep as well for Power One. With you guys, I kind of feel like, I don't really feel this as anxiety. I feel this is almost like a little bit of nervous tension, which is just when you start to apply these two parts of you and bring them together in this new kind of way, so that you've no longer got this opposition between, shall I follow my heart and my head, or do I listen to my intuition or do I listen to my logical thinking mind? Because that kind of like goes away, it's going to start feeling a bit, it might feel a bit unsafe because you're not used to kind of being in that kind of situation, and because it just doesn't feel like normal, it might feel a bit unsettling. But actually this is a new normal for you, which is only going to bring more expansion and more abundance into your life. So it's going to have this kind of maybe nervous excitement or excited anticipation. I think that kind of energy is going to be going off. I do always think, and I did say to the other pile as well, it is really useful because so much will be going off during this time period, because both Gemini and Sagittarius are really kind of mutable signs, mutable energy. Things are always changing, ideas are changing, new actions are being taken, all of this kind of thing. It's really variable. You do want to make sure that you are grounded. This is really, really important. And just be mindful that certain things like EMF, so electromagnetic frequencies, they can make you feel less grounded. So sometimes you might want to have a look into that a little bit. It's not a problem though, let me just tell you, it's so not a problem. But you just have to be mindful of it and therefore take appropriate action steps to kind of resolve those kind of things. I will leave a link below for stuff that I use for EMF. But then also it's anything grounding. So even just having your feet on the grass sometimes, even just a visualization of just your feet feeling solid on the floor, walking in barefoot shoes, they can be awesome. Just giving yourself some contemplation time so you can discharge all of the fast mental energy that I know will be going off for everybody collectively, and also for you. And bearing in mind that whenever things maybe become a bit stressful, because it's just natural, life will be like that, just make sure that you give yourself some downtime. So like float tanks can be awesome, salt baths, even just a shower, a shower in itself can just be seriously grounding. I know it involves water, but I was having this conversation with somebody, we both feel like it removes electromagnetic frequencies, like water totally does. I think it's why animals sometimes don't mind being out in the rain, because it just discharges electrical frequencies, and a shower can do that too. And don't be surprised if you start getting more ideas when you're in the shower or the bath. I can see that kind of happening too. So make sure you've always got like a notepad that you can quickly scribble down some ideas, because as you release this discharge of like incoherent energy, coherent energy just comes through, and that's when your spirit guide messages or your subconscious mind, however you see it, can start giving you unique perspectives about stuff. So if at any point you're feeling stressed over this time period, or you just don't know what to do about something, stop and have a quick shower. I guarantee you're going to feel so much better. I know it sounds really random, but that's what I really feel with that. Right, let's just see. What else? Just want a couple more of these. Let's see what else is going on. So what do your Akashic Records want to tell you? Oh wow, Awakening. I just totally love these cards. I think they're so beautiful. And oh wow, Death card. Okay, so Death card is all about transformation. And to be honest, with the Awakening card, that for me is also about like, sometimes I'm getting the word resurrection. Okay, I absolutely feel like these two cards here are really pointing towards something reappearing in your reality, but in a higher vibration than where it was before. So whether that is a person, whether that is a job opportunity, whether that is a business idea, whether it's a goal, a dream, a desire, whatever it is, it's definitely going to be going through. Okay, what your Akashic guides are saying is that essentially that whatever that thing is that we've just talked about, and it'll be different for all of you, it's actually now going to be going through a very different filter. So it's been through the filter of like the Cancer, Capricorn archetypes, which is way more serious, and it's way more heavy, and it's way more grounded than the new filter system, which this idea or personal relationship or whatever it is going to go through, which is then Gemini and Sagittarius, which is much faster, it's much lighter, it's much more creative. And because of that, I'm just getting the words from your card. You need to give something another chance. You need to give something another chance, and it's different for all of you. You'll know what this thing is, because if something comes back into your life, or there's a regeneration of something, an idea, a situation, a scenario, whatever it is, if it's come back to you in a higher vibration than where it was before, you know this is something to give yourself a second chance with. If something comes back into your life in a lower vibration or the same vibration as before, this might not be the opportunity that I'm talking about here. That's not to say that you wouldn't follow it, because we're all here, it's free will, it's totally your call, and I'm reading for such a lot of you in this reading, but that's just something for you to work through with yourself. But definitely if something comes back in a higher vibration than before, or you're drawn back to something, if when you get back to it, it feels in this high vibration, this is a really good sign that it has gone through transformation, and there's a whole new potential and possibility that's going to be coming out of this. So that is really interesting. I'm curious to know what that is. Cool, so I'm going to do an extended reading for these ones on Vimeo. If it's like the other one that I did, I also did a little bit of a shamanic sort of tool guided meditation at the end, something that you could use. So I'm sure that will also happen for you guys. But I'm just going to pull 4 more cards to see where the direction of this reading is going to go to in Vimeo. Whoa. Oh, let's go with it. They all flicked out. So we have Page of Emotions, 8 of Inspiration reversed, the Moon, whoa, 5 of Wands, and the Queen of Wands. Okay, so lots of energy going off here. And the Moon, let's not forget the Moon. Okay, so we are going to explore these energies in the extended reading and see what else wants to come out to do with this. Lots of energy, that's for sure. And then the other things that I want to go through is we're going to find out what is the number 1 opportunity for you guys to watch out for over this time period. What is the number 1 booby trap for you guys to watch out with over this time period? And what is the number 1 mentor that's coming into your life over this next time period for you to be mindful of and to make sure you get on track with? So if you feel like you want to go with that, then just follow me through to Vimeo. If not, I hope this was super useful for you. And definitely check out my Facebook and Instagram, and I'll also have that post up so you can read a little bit more about the astrology of this nodal shift, because I didn't want to go on and on about it in the beginning. So you can read that quickly on Instagram or Facebook. And then if you'd like a reading with me, please email me on this address and we can sort something out. And also check out my other YouTube channel, See It Like a Psychic, and specifically the Gemini Highest Potential archetype. I think you'll find that really, really useful. It's really going to help you get the most out of the energy that's coming. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you for another pick a card. Oh, and also like and subscribe if you want to. See you guys soon. Bye. Hi guys, so this is for everybody that chose pile number 3 as being and this stone for their choice, for what your Akashic Records most wants to tell you to do with this new thing that's coming, with the nodes of the moon shifting from into Gemini North Node and Sagittarius South Node for the next 18 months. So whenever you watch this video, it's valid up to around about the middle of January 2022. So, cool, let's tap into what your Akashic Records want to tell you. I'm just going to say this because I said it on all the other piles. If you don't know already, you've got chakras in the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. These are called your 11th chakras, and they help you connect to anything. They help you release stuff and they help you absorb stuff and a whole load of other cool stuff. So they're really good to do if you want to communicate with stones or crystals. Having said that, you can communicate with stones and crystals in 1,001 different ways. So this is just one of them. So it might work for you, it might not. Anyway, let's just see what we get, and you feel into it too. So what do your Akashic Records want to tell you? Okay, the first thing I'm getting is words like this, like explorer and new horizons, and I'm seeing stuff like an astronaut going off into space. So the first thing that I'm getting that your Akashic Records wants to tell you is that I'm hearing expect the unexpected over the next 18 months, or whenever you listen to this video, up till the middle of January 2022. But also I'm really getting that this isn't going to be like expect the unexpected and it's going to be chaos. I'm hearing expect the unexpected because it's going to be super liberating and exciting. And I don't know, basically by the time you finish this 18-month cycle, you're basically going to be in a completely different place and space within yourself, like, but also in a very physical way. So the way that your life looks is going to look quite different by the time this 18 months is up. I'm also getting as well that it's important for you to be focusing on your health and well-being, just from the point of view that I feel that, or what I'm getting from your Akashic Records is that the fitter and healthier you are, almost like, I don't know, like the further life can take you is what I'm kind of getting. So it's giving me almost like this metaphor of this person that's basically training really hard to be an athlete in something, and then this is going to sound so weird, but this is what I'm getting. So somebody's training really hard to be an athlete, and they're like getting super fit, they're super fast, this, that and the other. Then like one day they're walking to go and obviously train with their coach, and basically they see somebody try to rob somebody in a shop, and basically they run after the robber. Because they're super fit and strong, they easily catch the robber, knock them down, getting them in a position where they can't move, and basically they restore harmony because whatever was stolen goes back to the shop, and then the police come and they take over from the rest. And so it's kind of like, and that is, by the way, please, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen to you at all. These are just like metaphors, and my guides always try and give me things in the most extreme version, so then you can just see the overall energy that's kind of headed your way. And the whole point is like expect the unexpected, and almost like the healthier and the more fit and alert you are, the more that you will be able to sort of like take advantage when the unexpected happens, if that makes sense. And your Akashic Records is also saying like fitness is the easiest way to describe it, but it's also about having a really agile, fit mind, and a mind that is seeing things clearly, that is basically not unbalanced by a stressful situation, but can actually take advantage of this stressful situation. So it not only is a win for them, it's also a win for whatever else is going off. So then if you flipped around that vision that I got about the person, that kind of athlete that then basically was able to catch a robber, it's kind of like your mind in the same thing. So where the athlete was then suddenly in a stressful situation when he sees a robbing, but is able to use his abilities that he's already been training with and put them to good use, so it benefits him and his society. That will be the same thing with your mind. It's like something stressful might occur, but essentially you've got such good control of your mind and your ability to kind of work with situations that are really unpredictable, that you're able to take advantage of an opportunity that many people just feel too stressed to know what to do, and therefore they miss out on the opportunity. And I'm also really seeing that this opportunity is something that's going to benefit you and more than you. And your Akashic Records is just saying it like that because there's lots of you. So for some of you, it might benefit you and somebody else. For some of you, it might benefit you and, say, 10 people. For some of you, it might benefit you and many, many people. It's all going to be different for all of you. But it really is about expect the unexpected and have that agility within your physical being and within your mind. And that's sort of coming through really strongly. Whew, it's making my hands sweaty. Don't know why. I think there's going to just be quite a lot of excitement, and it's kind of going to be quite stimulating and quite kind of sudden. So quite almost like Martian. So I'm kind of feeling that Mars energy of like vitality and kind of quick. So like Mars and Uranus type of energy. It's got that kind of vibe to it. So if any of you know your charts, maybe there's something going off with either Mars or Uranus over the next 18 months that is significant in some way. Or you could be somebody that's got ruling energy somewhere, like Sun, Moon, or Rising, with things to do with Mars. So it could be Scorpio, it could be Aries, and with Uranus, it could be, I'm really trying not to get that word wrong. With Uranus, it could also be Aquarius, and it could be Capricorn. So maybe you might have stuff going down with that, but please don't worry if you don't, because whatever. You just flow with it. It's just about the energies, really. So let's see what's going on here. Oh, wow. Nice. Wishing well. I really like that. Yeah, okay. So this to me is this whole kind of thing, even more than about a really surprising, sudden opportunity coming your way. And then this also makes me think that it's something that you have long desired for, which is cool. You see, for me, I think Sag is a super lucky sign. And to be fair, I think Gemini can be when it stays playful and curious and it doesn't get into anxiety. So I do feel like as much as there might be some chaos that's going off, there's also this real opportunity for some real kind of like lucky breaks. But once again, I think it is, like we said before, people that expect the unexpected, that have like an agile physicality, an agile mind, so that they're able to ground themselves in situations where most people essentially, let's say, like lose their shit. And because they can ground themselves in that space, that they can then make opportunity of something. And I do feel like this is a super, super positive opportunity. And I'm also getting that its effects are going to run on far longer than just this 18 months. And I'm also, I don't know why I'm getting really drawn to this thing around her chest here, her heart. I do think it's definitely about having this open heart space, which is more a case of just letting your guards down. So whatever it is that you've been wanting to create, whether it's a relationship, more money, your life purpose, sorting out some family karma, like whatever it might be, you've got to just make sure that your heart is open and your guard is down. That's really, really important. Because I suppose that would be a little bit like the athlete that we kind of channeled in the beginning bit on your Akashic Records, where basically if that athlete's heart wasn't open, he might have been more likely to go into protection mode and sort of like remove himself from that situation rather than involve himself in the situation. And I think it's very much by, instead of where you would usually protect yourself with whatever it is that you're wanting to create, wherever you've usually protected yourself, it's now about involving yourself within the situation, within the dynamic, within whatever it might be. That's really, really important, because the universe cannot give you this thing that it really wants to unless you're literally there to receive it. And there's something about not having a protection up, not having a force field up in your energy field. And the best way to not have a force field up in your energy field is to have an open heart, categorically, because the heart energy field is so much more powerful than so many other energy fields that you can create, particularly a force field that's put up to protect you. So yeah, have a think about that. But now let us get some more cards. So what do your Akashic Records want to tell you about the Gemini North Node and Sagittarius South Node? I'm also getting with this pile as well from your Akashic Records that actually it is important to be mindful of your nutrition as well, and just making sure that you're fully hydrated. Like being really well hydrated is somehow going to do something, which is like, I don't know, like my guides are showing me that by you being fully hydrated, it's going to basically help okay, this doesn't even make sense physiologically, so let me just say this right now. It's almost going to help, like, somehow the electricity run quicker and with more ease through your body. Now, that's kind of weird, because often it's like, you know, fat cells that help, you know, help the conduction of electricity within your body through your nervous system. But it's really kind of saying that for some reason there's something about you hydrating yourself enough. And now my guides are also saying the thing is, it's because Aquarius energy is like strong within you guys in some way. So this could be your sun, moon, or rising, or it could mean you've got aspects going off with that in some ways. Or the truth is, it could mean it's because you've got kind of like an alien consciousness. So regardless of what your birth chart is doing, there's like this really kind of like alien kind of consciousness within you. Now, don't panic about that. I have alien consciousness too. It's quite normal. Quite a lot of people have it, and particularly people that are more like psychic naturally and that kind of thing, which I'm sure basically all you guys are that are watching this now. So I don't know, there's something about the Aquarius energy being the water bearer, and I don't know if you've ever seen the picture, the star card. I wonder if we might get it actually, but it's where like the star card, the woman is like pouring water, and it always makes me think it's energy coming from the universe, and then through, for some reason, it's being converted through the body as information through the water. So there's something about water being useful for you, and very much like, you know how you could do that thing about putting really nice words underneath water and then it changes the vibration of the water. I think it's just showing that you guys are actually really, really sensitive. And I think a lot of you will know you're sensitive, but to those of you that don't, you really are very sensitive to energies and things like that. And so you can absolutely use that to your advantage. And one of the best ways that you can do this over this time period is to really start consciously having intention with the water that you drink. It can be super easy. You can put a crystal in your water. You could just put a word like love or peace or whatever you want underneath the water, and it will help change the vibration, and that will then go into the cells of your body. I'm also really getting that, as well as like with the nutrition and stuff, that's really useful for you guys to help you stay grounded and kind of like an agile mind, and to be healthy and fit, and to be able to like stay like mentally strong despite whatever might be going off. I'm also seeing that you guys have, this might sound weird to some of you, and some of you I know it will not. Your body consciousness really wants to communicate to you. And what I'm really seeing is like, you know, like the cells in your body, I'm getting like the mitochondria really wants to chat to you. And trust me, from a shamanic perspective, and I have been trained as a shaman, you can communicate to any part of your body, and every part of your body has a different type of consciousness and almost personality if you want, and they all have different perspectives. And the thing about the Gemini energy that we're going into with the North Node is it's very much about listening to different people's perspectives and different belief systems and all of this to then change who you are so you can become greater. And I'm really getting that your body really, if you do meditation or anything like that, or even just, you could even just be lifting weights at the gym, but you can really tune into your body. Your body wants to tell you some things. And definitely your mitochondria. So you might want to check out if there's a guided meditation on YouTube or something like that. But what your Akashic Records are saying is this really is about a long-term relationship that you need to build up. So if you want me to be kind of slightly less esoteric, it's kind of like you've got to start listening to what your body is telling you. So any aches or pains that you get, or any sensations you get in your body, they're just your body trying to tell you some stuff. And the more that you can tune in and listen to what it's trying to say, I'm hearing that it's really going to change your vibration over something that you have been stuck on creating. And I kind of feel like whatever this wish is, this is something that you have been stuck on creating. And part of it is about listening to your body, because basically it's got a message for you about how to unblock this. And I suppose the thing is, lots of water as well helps things to flow around your body. So there's definitely something about some big block is getting released during this time period so that you really can receive what you want to receive. Whoa, okay, we'll take those two. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So we have the Hermit. We have, I don't feel like reading these reversed, and I don't know why. The Knight of Pentacles. I love these cards so much. Then we have, oh, another Death card. Had that in pile 3, and 6 of Pentacles. Nice. Okay, and then here we have Oh wow, fourth house and Mars. You see, I was talking about that Mars energy. I really, really was feeling for some reason this thing about vitality. And interestingly, Knight of Pentacles in any deck, if you know your tarot, it never really looks that active. But this one is actually really quite active. Just bear with me a minute while I tap into all of this. You know, this fourth house, roots, this is really making me feel that okay, so wherever Sagittarius is in your chart, it's really trying to get you not only... It's basically trying to tell you to prune away things that are not useful anymore, but the things that are useful, to really grow them and allow them to grow. And it's like saying the more that you get stable and really secure wherever Sagittarius is in your chart, the higher, if that's like the roots of the tree, then the higher your branches and your leaves can go, and that takes you to whatever is going off in your chart to do with Gemini. So definitely check those out if you can. For those of you that don't know your chart, just give me 1 minute to just get something a bit more tangible for you. 1 minute. Okay, got it. So basically, it's really important that you are... that during this time period, you're really looking to, quite simply, strengthen your belief in who you are and what you are and where you've come from. Things that you don't like about yourself or where you're from, you have two choices. It would either be, see if they're useful. If they are useful, work out really accepting them and really acknowledging them and bring them into part of your journey and part of your makeup, as it were. The things that you don't like, that you also don't see are useful or helpful, number one, check it through friends to just make sure that you're getting the correct perspective on this. If the collective agrees that these are things that are not useful for you anymore, then it is about pruning them away. And then, once you're then really solid with all of this, with who you are, it's then about really allowing yourself to springboard as far as you possibly can in the direction that you really have wanted to go in for such a long time. So, for example, if it's a relationship, then, you know, once you've done that other thing we said about getting really clear on stuff, pruning away what you don't like, accepting what is still useful, etc., then you've really got to go out there and take the action. So go on the dating sites, do whatever you need to do, basically. Get really clear, get your list on who it is you want to be with. If this is to do with the business, same thing. Start integrating yourself in the business world. Look at stuff online, start making actions like that. Like, this energy is very much about mentors, okay? So maybe get a business mentor, anything to do with that. But it really is about, you've just really got to push forward and really kind of like, I'm seeing like that rocket again going into space. It's like you've got to propel yourself. You've got to go all in, basically. Go all in. That's really, really important. And don't let your past hold you back, because I'm getting this really strong thing that actually in this pile, this might be as well that blockage that we're talking about, that we know that your body wants to communicate with you. I'm really getting in this pile that whatever, and my body's starting to get really hot as we talk about this, actually, like my solar plexus is really getting hot. Sorry, just 1 second. Whatever this thing is that you have been really wanting to create and been really working for a long period of time, but it's never quite just come through, like, I'm really getting that this time period is a great opportunity, because expect the unexpected. You know, expecting something completely different to what you've ever had before is definitely within all of your guys' timelines. Obviously, it depends on the choices and the actions that you then make, but currently you're all in a direction that's going to take you where it is that you want to go. But you know what, you do still have to massively assert yourself, which is that Mars energy, that Mars drive to just keep, you know, I don't really like to always do this thing of pushing, because sometimes it annoys me, but the truth is, like, your Akashic Records are saying, like, look, there's boxing gloves there. You got to see what it is that you want, and you have to go for it, and you have to go for it all in. It's really, really important. A bit like the guy that once he decided, the athlete, that he was going to run after the robber and take him down, he was 100% committed on doing that, and that was it. And every part of his energy just went with it, and so he succeeded in it, and he did it rapidly and quick. That's absolutely what's available to you. But I'm hearing that 100% commitment is required. And I'm also getting that the one thing as well, just to be mindful of, is do not let limiting beliefs from your past or past experiences, and particularly whatever you might have experienced as a child or felt as a child, which now becomes a limiting factor. You literally have to acknowledge it, but just say, no thanks, not today. Done. So I appreciate that, but just not today, no, because I'm going after this goal, and I deserve to go after this goal. And then also for some of you that are more like psychic, I do feel like one of your ancestors really wants to come and communicate with you, and I'm really getting like granddad, grandfather. And I just feel like they have a lot of encouragement and wisdom for you, but then they also have like quite a mischievous vibe to them as well. And so they're kind of bringing in this playful vibe, which kind of feels very Gemini in a way. And I think they're definitely going to want to tell you that, like, don't take things too seriously, but do just go after 100% what you want. And for some of them, I'm hearing this. Obviously, I can't possibly channel for every single one of your like granddads or whatever. But what I'm hearing for a significant portion of you, that they would basically say, look, the first time I saw your grandma or your nana or whatever, or your gran, I knew that she was the one for me, and that's it. I just went for her. It's the kind of that kind of vibe. It's kind of like, I don't know, just single-minded focus, but it's also driven from a heart space, like a genuine deep spiritual connection to someone, something, a goal, like whatever it is. It's got that kind of thing, and then you have to just go all in. But at the same time, it's definitely about being playful. And you know what, I have to be really honest, because I'm going to tell you everything that I see here. Like, I really see like something around like sexual energy, something like that. Because like Mars, and actually in this 4th house, you actually see a bed, which I've never really thought about that for the 4th house. But I'm just really kind of seeing that kind of like sexual energy. But you got to think about this more than just like physical sex as well. It's kind of like, it's two energies that are both similarly aligned coming together to create something together. Now that could either be with you and someone else, it could be your business with somebody else's business, it could be your tribe with somebody else's tribe, it could be you with a family member and another family member coming together to create something. It really could be anything. It's just two different energies that have both got the same goal coming together to create that goal and something even greater. Just keep remembering, expect the unexpected. And also, like your grandfather, your granddad is also being like, just don't take life too seriously. Like, enjoy it, because it's over before you know it. I don't know why I'm laughing, but there is quite a playful vibe. There's a total playful vibe coming through. And it's almost like the mischievous thing that just also, almost like a little bit cocky, that also allows you to kind of like venture into areas that you wouldn't usually. I'm kind of getting that vibe too. I totally am. Anyway, wow, that's just taking up so much of the reading. Just 1 second. Let me tune into these. Cool. I mean, to be honest, this is also what I'm thinking. 6 of Pentacles is very much what I always think of, like give, receive, share and grow. And I've done a post on this on Instagram, so I'll leave a link for that below if you want to look at it. But there's very much that energy coming in to do with whatever is this kind of like sex energy that's, you know, that's going off for you. And I think this is also why I think this helps you create this wish come true. I don't know, something about all of this is interrelated, but it's definitely, and this is very much that Gemini energy of connecting with others, like and I do, interestingly, I don't usually see this with the Hermit, but I'm really seeing this as the mentor. You know how we mentioned this before, that you might go online if you want it something to do with business or even relationship, whatever it is. It's about getting some outside perspective, outside support in somebody from somebody that knows more than you and somebody who potentially doesn't, they've all got real value, because that's the thing with the Gemini energy. And in some ways, this can be quite Sagittarius vibe as well, the Hermit, just from the point of view of like the philosopher, like the wise man, the wise woman. And I'm also really getting that, you know, it is, I know we always say it anyway, but it really is useful for you to have some like meditative space, meditative time. And I actually think breath work could be something really good for you guys. So I'm probably going to say this wrong because I'm so dyslexic and I just don't get words. But you know, like the Wim Hoffman technique, I think I've said his name right. Like maybe something like that might pull you in, or I don't know, maybe there's like prana breathing. I don't know, there's so many different types of breathing. I feel like there's something like that that's also going to help vitalize and energize you, but also balance your system. Because one thing as well I am really feeling is, because I do think there's a lot of energy potentially going off for you during this time period, it's just really important as well that you don't burn yourself out. I can just see that that's something that's really, really important. Because as well, like with the death card, and this was also in the I think in pile 2, and it might have even been pile 1, it's kind of like there is like I just see this actually, and I don't usually with death, but I just see this as there's a lot of change going off. There's a lot of change going off. And also with this card, I don't know how well you can see it, there's the woman here with the mind closed and meditating. You know the spider's web? Like the spider's web is so very much in like Native American stories, like the spider is like this incredible co-creator that blends the past, the present and the future all together to create a new timeline, one that they really want. And the wishing well does remind me of that, like co-creating for something greater than what you could ever imagine. And I do sort of feel like with that woman there in quite a meditative state and the hermit, you've got to make sure that you have got some downtime, you've got some meditation time. And meditation could be anything, right? It can be lifting weights, it could be swimming, it could be walking in nature. I mean, it could be dancing in a club. Like there is no prescribed way that meditation should be. It's just where you find oneness with yourself, I'd probably say with this. Because if you find that, I can just see that it's just going to help you integrate lots of stuff, because I feel like lots of things is going off. And that also, your Akashic Records is saying, is why the water, drinking lots of water is really important. And if you already do drink lots of water, put the crystal in, put the good word in the bottom, be creative. Even if you're somebody that would never think of doing that, just do it. Try it, experiment. Because this is the other thing with like these Gemini in the North Node, it's very much an experimentational sign about experimenting. But that, because I think lots of experimenting will occur in your life, because obviously expect the unexpected, you've also got to make sure that there is some sort of downtime so that you can integrate these different experiences or thoughts or whatever is going off. Because also I can see how it's going to be powerfully creative for you guys too. Yes, so that is really what I'm feeling into there. And also I'm just getting this, you know, if you do get stuck, which is totally understandable at some point during this 18-month transit, consider seeing if you can hear what your granddad wants to tell you. Because I just know that he has got some advice for you when you really need it. And if you can't tap into that energy yourself, then definitely go and see a psychic medium to do with that. Or obviously you can message me, because I can do that too. But you know, see if you can do it yourself first, because I always promote that, because I just know that we're all psychic. But if not, I do really think you could... Sorry, my battery just ran out there. So what I was just saying was, yeah, basically if you get stuck at any point during this time period, I know that your granddad, your grandpa has got some information and useful insight for you. And if you can't tap into that, like I say, see a psychic medium, ask me, something like that. But try it always yourself. I'm sure there's guided meditations on YouTube maybe that can help you tune into that space. And maybe if you were to use some breathing techniques like we talked about, like the Wim Hoffman technique, maybe that could actually help you relax your body and open your mind so you could channel in that way. But just go with whatever feels right for you. Cool. I really, really like that. So I'm actually going to do an extended reading for this. I think I will do for like certain astrology ones and things like that. So I'm just going to pull a few more cards to see what we will go into on the extended reading, so you can see if this is going to be something that'll be useful for you. I feel like one here. It's interesting, you guys have had more cards than the other ones. I don't know why, it just naturally came out this way. So I am going to read some of these reversed, just so you know. So we have Queen of Emotions. I love that card. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune, but it wasn't reversed, but I felt like it either way, so we're putting it that way. And we also have the Page of Inspiration. And we have the High Priestess. And then we have the Nine of Pentacles. Okay, so we will go and look into these in more detail on the extended. So if you feel called to any way, you think any of this might make some sense for you or be useful, then you can follow me over there. I'm also going to ask, we're also going to find out what is the number one opportunity coming your way during this time period, so you don't miss out on it. We're also going to ask what is the number one booby trap coming your way, so you can be really mindful to do with that. And then we're also going to find out who is the most important mentor coming during this time period to help you out. So that's what we're going to discuss with all of that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Definitely check out my Instagram or Facebook and have a look at the astrology bit, so then I could have gone to more detail to do with the nose of these moon shifting. Also, definitely look at my other YouTube channel, Say It Like a Psychic, because there's lots of different stuff on there. You might find... it's really weird, right? You would definitely find the Gemini Highest Potential useful, but I actually also think there's something in there about the Scorpio Highest Potential, because it's about this Mars energy as well and how to use it. So check out those two if you feel like that too. And if you'd like a reading, then just email me. But other than that, maybe see you on the extended, and if not, see you on another pick a card. But totally enjoy this time period. I just have to say, I am really looking forward to it. Gemini and Sagittarius is so much more exciting, fun, and so much lighter than Cancer and Capricorn. So just as a collective, that's just really going to be a breath of fresh air, quite literally. But cool. Cool. See you guys in another place in another video somewhere. Bye.